Don't skip this video, because after watching this video, you'll 100% gonna survive pandemic like COVID-19 or anything deadlier than that in future. So let's don't waste any time and hope into it. It doesn't start with panic. It starts with a headline you scroll past. A cluster of unusual pneumonia cases. A virus behaving strangely. Health officials say there's no cause for alarm, yet. Flights are still landing. Grocery stores are still open. People are still arguing online about whether it's real. Then a city locks down. Then another. Hospitals stop allowing visitors. Doctors reuse protective gear. Ambulances stop using sirens because they're running constantly anyway. You wake up one morning and realize the world didn't end overnight. It ended quietly. This isn't the first time humanity has seen this. COVID-19 proved how fast a virus can circle the planet. Ebola showed how lethal an outbreak can be when systems fail. History is full of examples where disease, not war, did the most damage. So let's stop pretending this is impossible. If another deadly virus spreads globally, airborne, highly contagious, or both, survival won't depend on strength or bravery. It will depend on preparation, timing, and discipline. 7 things decide whether you ride it out or become part of the numbers. The first thing you must understand is that panic is more dangerous than the virus itself. When outbreaks escalate, human behavior collapses first. People rush hospitals when they aren't sick. They hoard the wrong supplies. They ignore the right advice because it's boring or inconvenient. This overwhelms healthcare systems before the disease does. Survival starts with staying out of that surge. That means acting early, not dramatically. When credible health agencies begin changing language, from monitoring to community spread, that's your signal. Not social media, not rumors. Official language shifts. Organizations like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the World Health Organization are cautious by design. When they start advising behavioral changes, they're already behind the curve. The people who survive pandemics don't wait for certainty. They move when uncertainty begins. The second thing you must have is the ability to isolate without collapsing. Isolation sounds simple until you try it. Staying home for weeks or months isn't just about food, it's about systems. Work, communication, mental health, routine. During COVID-19, many people technically had supplies, but still had to break isolation because life logistics failed. You need redundancy. Food that doesn't require constant refrigeration. Water access. Medications with buffer supply, power backups for essential devices. Not because the virus cuts electricity directly, but because workforce disruption does. Delivery systems break when drivers get sick. Pharmacies close when staff quarantine. The virus doesn't need to kill infrastructure, it just needs to interrupt people. Isolation only works if you can actually sustain it. The third thing you must do is protect your respiratory system correctly. This is where misinformation thrives. Not all viruses are airborne. Not all masks are equal. Not all protection works in all situations. But respiratory transmission is a primary driver in many pandemics. During COVID-19, layered protection mattered more than any single measure. Masks worked best when combined with ventilation, distancing, and time limits. If a future virus spreads through aerosols, protection is about reducing dose, not achieving perfection. Lower exposure often means milder disease. This is not guaranteed, but it is supported by infectious disease research. This means proper masks when needed, understanding indoor airflow, avoiding crowded enclosed spaces during surges, and improving ventilation where possible. No single item saves you. Systems do. The fourth thing you must have is medical literacy, not medical skill. You don't need to diagnose diseases, you need to understand warning signs. During outbreaks, people die not because help doesn't exist, but because they wait too long or seek it too early. Knowing when symptoms cross from manageable to dangerous matters. High fever that doesn't respond to treatment, breathing difficulty, confusion, dehydration. These are not internet opinions. These are emergency indicators used across medical systems. Equally important is knowing when not to overwhelm care facilities. Mild symptoms often need monitoring, not panic-driven hospital visits. Medical literacy saves lives by reducing bad decisions under stress. The fifth thing you must control is information intake. Pandemics create an information virus alongside the biological one. Rumors spread faster than pathogens. False cures, fake threats, misinterpreted data. During COVID-19, misinformation directly caused deaths through delayed treatment, dangerous self-medication, and rejection of basic precautions. You must limit sources, verify through credible institutions, accept uncertainty without filling gaps with speculation. If you don't control your information diet, it will control you. Fear makes people reckless. Recklessness spreads disease. The sixth thing you must prepare for is social fracture. Pandemics strain trust. People turn on each other over masks, movement, access to care, and perceived responsibility. Communities fragment. Anger replaces cooperation. This isn't moral failure, it's stress psychology. Survival often depends on small, stable circles, family units, trusted neighbors, clear boundaries, clear plans. During outbreaks, large groups are liabilities. Small, coordinated groups are assets. Know who you rely on. Know who relies on you. Reduce exposure points without cutting off support entirely. No one survives pandemics completely alone, but too many connections increase risk. The seventh thing, and this is the hardest, is patience. Pandemics don't end on your schedule. They fade unevenly. Case numbers drop, then spike. Restrictions loosen, then return. People relax too early because they're tired, not because it's safe. Historically, second and third waves have killed more than first ones, not because viruses get stronger, but because people get careless. Patience is not passive, it's disciplined endurance. Staying isolated longer than feels necessary, keeping precautions when others stop, waiting for confirmed data instead of optimism. This is where most people fail. They don't die from the virus, they die from relief. Now here's the truth nobody likes. Even if you do everything right, there are no guarantees. Biology is chaotic, outcomes vary, luck exists. But survival isn't about certainty, it's about odds. The people who survive pandemics are rarely the strongest or smartest. They're the ones who adapt early, stay boring, and resist the urge to prove something. They don't chase miracle cures. They don't argue with math. They don't confuse comfort with safety. They prepare quietly and move deliberately. A future virus doesn't need to be worse than COVID-19 to be devastating. It just needs to be different enough to catch people unprepared again. And it will. The question isn't if another global outbreak happens. It's whether next time you recognize the pattern early enough to step out of its path. Because when the world starts closing down again, survival won't look heroic. It will look like staying home, washing hands, wearing the right protection at the right time, ignoring noise, waiting longer than feels reasonable. And that's how people quietly make it through, while everyone else wonders what went wrong. So that's it, folks. I hope our video will help you if these kind of situation emerges out of nowhere. And if you like our videos, share it with your friends and family so they also can survive in situation of life and death. Be safe, be alive. We'll meet you in next one.